Alright, what's up guys? How we doing? Obviously the biggest news, the off season is well underway, and I haven't done anything yet on anything that's happened, just in general, or even with the Golden Knights. Kind of been a little busy lately, got a lot of life issues kind of going on. But the first one, there's a lot that I'm going to do upcoming, a lot of topics, a lot of issues that I want to discuss, but I'm going to go with the biggest one first, and that's going to be the Flower. Obviously as a Knights fan, it sucks, you just, in many ways, and I'll get into kind of everything, but I mean, first off, just losing the Flower. I mean, the dude who you've heard nothing but good things about him. Biggest team player. I mean, how could you not love somebody like that on your team? I mean, take the on-ice results away at all, but just somebody that everybody loves to be around. Somebody that you've heard is, just a great person. You know what I mean? Just to lose somebody like that who had some weight in that locker room, like, you want to talk about somebody who's beloved and somebody who's respected. And when the Knights first became a team, just a quick little story. I was working at this bar up in Wyoming, and one of my coworkers, a good buddy of mine, his name's Mike. And Mike, when I was starting to get into everything, he told me he wasn't like a big hockey guy, but he was something that he knew of. And he told me just a little story about when Flower got traded from Pittsburgh. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I thought it was really, really cool. So once he got traded or, selected by Vegas in the draft, he told me that Fleury and both Crosby now sit in their own rows and nobody next to them. I guess that's something they do now. And the reason was because they were such good friends that they sat together, and once, Fleury left, they didn't want to change that, I guess, or fill that void. And I just thought that was cool, like how good of friends, you have to be to do something like that. I just thought that was kind of cool, kind of nifty, but that is just something that kind of shows you what kind of a teammate, obviously, and a good friend that Flower is, right? So, I just want to say thank you, Flower. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who gave, Vegas instant credibility, a guy who's a no doubt Hall of Famer. What he's done for this team, for this franchise, it's leaps and bounds. I mean, how many new hockey fans, kids in Vegas that probably, are now hockey fans, and he's a huge reason why. I mean, this is, like I said, a guy who, how can you not love him? But then his on-ice performance, this is a guy who just won the Vezina, right? So congrats. I do just want to give this, Flower, my first ever Vegas jersey, Golden Knights. It was the first, thank you, Flower. Thank you for everything you've done. I cannot be more proud to have you as a member of the Golden Knights, to be our first face of the franchise. I just want to say thank you. You've done so much. You've, you made me an instant hockey fan. You made me very proud to be a Golden Knights fan. And I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for the franchise and for the team I root for. Could not be happier to have had you on board. And thank you for everything you've done. Congrats on the Vezina. I mean, what a story that is. 36-year-old Marc-Andre Fleury wins the Vezina. Whether you agree with it or not, I really don't give a shit. He was a phenomenal goalie this year. He really stepped up. Him and Robin Leonard won the Jennings Trophy. All those arguments that can be made about Vasi, and I'm not going to refute those. Vasi is an incredible goalie, but let's give Flower this year. You know what I mean? So, again, congrats, and thank you, Marc-Andre. So let's get into kind of how this all happened and what happened. Like I said, it sucks to see your face of the franchise leave in any fashion, but the way that Vegas did it, they gave him away. Supposedly it's for an ECHL player that's not even coming to Vegas's organization at all, not even coming to their farm team. That's nothing. You gave Marc-Andre Fleury away. Everybody knows this is a pandemic world. It's going to be a flat cap for probably at least another year. And with a team that's trying to compete and win it all, we saw what having $5 to $7 million on the bench looked like for Vegas. The team that won the cup, once they got Kucherov back, they were 18 million over. So you can see why the front office is like, okay, we need to do everything we possibly can to, bridge that gap. Tampa's backup was Curtis McElhinney, who probably, I think, made, $1 million? You know what I mean? And Vegas at any given point had 5 to 7 on the bench. And they decided that was an issue. And I'll be the first to admit, I agree with that. There was no way we could have done the same goalie thing over, repeat it. It's just, it didn't work last year. It didn't work in the playoffs. And a change needed to be made. There's no refuting that. So, I love Leonard. I'm a huge fan of the Panda. I think he is good enough. I have no issues with choosing Leonard over Fleury from a hockey standpoint. It is what it is. It is the best hockey decision to make. He is younger. He's cheaper. You got him locked up for a little bit. You can't deny that, that's the goalie to get rid of was Flower. He's $7 million, and Vegas, who had to bring back Alec Martinez, thank you for doing that. That was all the cap space Vegas had. And so they decided to trade Flower. Now, you've all heard what happened, him finding out via Twitter, and Kelly McCrimmon went on and he gave a 20-minute interview about what happened. Okay, what's up, guys? How we doing? Thank you again for watching. So I just wanted to kind of throw this into my Fleury video. It's been quite a while since he was traded. I've been going through quite a few things. But now today, Frank Saravalli released an article about what happened in Fleury's side, which I was kind of waiting and I was hoping would come out. I wanted to hear from him kind of, after the aftermath, after, he's digested everything, the move and all that, just to kind of see what he would say. And so I'm going to show, obviously, Kelly McCrimmon here. This is what his version of events that happened, and then we'll read the article. I'll post it for you guys. I just kind of want to go over the highlights of what the article said. Because this is a tough one. I mean, this is a really tough one for Knights fans, obviously. Like, the face of the franchise traded away for literally nothing. They terminated the contract of Michael Hakkarainen. And now you're hearing from Fleury how basically what Kelly's saying here isn't true. And, there's always two sides to every story and then the truth, right? I think Alan Walsh played a huge role in this. So, yeah, we'll get into it. So let's just see what Kelly has to say. We're only going to watch the first couple minutes. That gives us kind of everything that, just the important part, right? So yeah, let's listen to what Kelly had to say, okay?
Marc-Andre on June 29th until up to and including a new team who contacted me for the first time on Saturday, of which I made them aware. So I think that communication throughout this process was very good. I told Mark at the exit meeting, I want to be able to look him in the eye and tell myself and make him understand or make him feel that he's been treated professionally throughout this time frame.
Okay, that right there, you're gonna see some conflicts of stories right there. Basically, what Kelly just says there, Fleury's gonna refute. It's not pretty.
With respect to, and I should conclude. With respect to this morning, the rumors hit Twitter before I spoke to Marc-Andre Fleury. We had not In fact, even completed the trade call. We hadn't begun the trade call with NHL Central Registry. We would never speak to a player before you got to the trade call in case things don't unfold. So with
Now that to me is completely normal, and that makes total sense. I mean, if something, how shitty would that be to call players, be like, hey, yeah, we've traded you. Oh, wait a minute. At the very last moment, the other team backed out. You want to, like, that player is going to feel slighted. I mean, you just traded. Oh, wait, no, we take it back. We're not trading you. To me, if I was a manager, that's kind of the same policy that I would have. That's a box of worms you just do not want to open. You know what I mean? So that part I completely understand.
Back to this morning, it was on Twitter before we had our trade call completed, and yet, as I've just detailed, there was many discussions throughout the time leading up until today. In terms of the why, what's the rationale behind the move? I think, as you on the call here would all know, we've been really fortunate. We had two great goaltenders in our organization with Marc-Andre and Robin Lehner. I give both players a lot of credit. We made the decision to go with that tandem last year based on a number of factors. We collectively won the Jennings Trophy. Marc-Andre individually won the Vezina Trophy. We had 40 wins, which was tops in the NHL. We tied for the President's Trophy. We had a successful playoff. We definitely benefited from both of those goaltenders. I think that when you look forward to this year, I think that same scenario might have been a little harder to manage. I mentioned just a minute ago that I give both Marc-Andre and Robin a great deal of credit for how they handled it, but I know also that these are two goalies that are both starters, and I don't know that there would have been the same appetite to do it the same way from those players. Neither goaltender, to their credit, expressed any concern or any issue. It just, I guess, more my own observations with respect to that. And then I guess it ties into my job is to try to make our team better, and to do that, you need cap space to improve. And I know last year being a cap team, if we're going to, work on any free agents, Alec Martinez is one that we've been working on. We're hoping to have news with respect to his status tomorrow. We haven't made final decisions on Matthias Janmark or Thomas Nosek. The discussions you have with other teams about players that might be available, the free agents that might be available tomorrow. If you're going to improve your team, there's a cap space component to that is definitely challenging. So those things all tie into the decision, and I guess that at this point, more importantly than anything I've said so far, I'd like to thank Marc-Andre Fleury for his time in Vegas. It's incredible the moments that we shared with him as part of our organization.
All right, so I think I'll end it there. He said enough, right? Obviously, we're getting to the point where we thank him, but I mean, it makes total sense. Like, this was a move that Vegas needed to make. And as you'll see in the rest of this video, I mean, that $7 million, they need it. They need it. You just cannot justify having $5 to $7 million on the bench again. You just cannot do it, especially when you see a team like Tampa, who is, whether you agree with or whatever, they were $18 million over the cap in the playoffs. And Vegas over here having that much on the bench, how can you refute? I mean, it's a copycat league. Like, you see what Tampa did, so you need. I mean, their backup is Curtis McElhinney, was making what, $1 million? So yeah, we'll end that part there. It's tough. It's very tough. It sucks. It hurts. But I'm gonna link in the rest of this and in the description quite a few articles I'm gonna link obviously the Frank one, the Saravalli on Fleury, and then a couple others because in the rest of this video I get into the Knights' reputation and just kind of the cutthroat reputation that they're getting. How players are finding out how they're traded. Like Kelly over here said, they don't let players know until it's finally gone through. It's tough. It really sucks being a fan of a team that you so genuinely care about and that you're so heavily invested in. And then first, as a fan, all this team cares about is winning. Like, that's what any fan wants, right? But then you're hearing about how that leads to players being traded at the, without like supposedly being proper due process kind of thing. There's one where Eric Haula, like his card didn't work before he found out. Oscar Lindberg, they were on the ice and supposedly Wild Bill had to come and tell him on the ice that he was traded. It's just tough. It's tough. I hate getting this kind of a reputation. I really do. And, I know that there's a price for trying to be the best and trying to win, but I don't like this. I don't like getting this reputation. It's a tough as a fan. The only other thing is I'm gonna kind of go over the article here next that Saravalli does. And there's the one thing that I have a huge issue with is Alan Walsh. Alan Walsh. Let's just be real. I'm gonna start off with it. Nobody at all forgot about the sword in the back. And to tell me that you think Fleury didn't know, no, 100% he signed off on that. And that was probably the most childish and immature thing I think you could possibly do during a playoff run. This isn't the off season. This is during a playoff run. And I link another article where Schmidt talks that was an issue in the locker room. That's just unacceptable, dude. As much as I love Flower and everything, I hate Alan Walsh. I just think he's immature. All he wants to do is stir the pot, and he reminds me of that kid in high school where he's just trying so hard to be cool and fit in that he'll say and do pretty much anything to get attention. So that sword in the back was just unbelievable. I can't believe somebody actually did that. Yeah, that one. I mean, you think the front office did not take that into consideration or was still thinking about that? They 100% did, and it was more than unacceptable. So, so I linked the article here. I kind of went over and increased the font size of the parts that I thought were the most important. So we'll just go kind of just a quick little skim, but he talks about how Fleury has found a new life. All his kids, they're getting settled, making new friends, found soccer teams. But it says right here, treated on the way out. Everybody knows that Fleury found out on Twitter, and in today's day and age, I do think the McManagers, they're old school. Clearly, like they're old guys. They don't. I don't know. I don't have a Twitter account. I don't have any social media. I doubt that they have Twitter accounts. What could they have? Maybe somebody who runs a Twitter account that maybe keeps up to date on that kind of stuff. Yes. Should they? Absolutely. But do they? I don't think so. So there is that part where it's like, okay, well, we have this policy where we don't allow players to know until it's gone through, but Twitter knows everything. I mean, and I even say it, later in this video, dude. Look at, I think, was it Saravalli? Look at Seattle Kraken. Literally all but 4 picks were not known until the draft. All of them. Like this, Twitter is crazy these days. And that just goes to show that everything hits there first. I mean, these insider guys, they have their sources. And yeah, they definitely, the McManagers should definitely do something to change that. So yeah, he did find out probably first on Twitter. The face of the franchise tweeted on the way out. Okay, so yeah, right here, we just saw that video. The communication that Vegas GM Kelly said claimed was so open and the run was not, according to Fleury, who set the record straight in an interview. He said that they had 2 conversations, the end of the season exit meetings, both initiated by the player. I don't know how much I believe in that. Like, isn't it everybody? Don't you have end of the season meetings with all your players? I'm pretty sure that that's just kind of standard. And what? Wasn't sure of his plans. Obviously, I mean, that's the end of the season. You just got eliminated. Who knows exactly their plans right then and there? I mean, you need to see what teams are interested in your players, what you can make work. Like, obviously, it wasn't just a sure thing, oh, trade the Vezina winner right there after they got eliminated. Like, that's just stupid to me. Of course, Kelly right here considering his options. Talked a bit. So, yeah, it says Fleury called him mid-July to see what he was thinking, so a couple weeks before the trade, and still he wasn't sure. I can't blame him, dude. You're not sure until you find the right deal. I mean, there supposedly was a rumor that Leonard had a deal, or they had a deal to send Leonard to New Jersey. I'm pretty sure they heavily considered that one, too. I mean, why not? Fleury's only 1 more year. Leonard's on a pretty damn good deal, and he's a great goaltender. I mean, if you could have gotten something for him, I'm sure they would have done it. Who knows? But right here, so Fleury's agent, Alan Walsh, what hurt most was watching, dude, he's just, the way what hurt most, the fact the trade call may not have been completed is a weak excuse. I've had plenty of calls from GMs on trades before the call was finished. Flower was the face of the franchise. Vegas was everything to him. You think about honor and integrity, all that the Golden Knights stand for, as the owner said. You would think someone would call and say, Marc-Andre, we just want you to know we have a verbal agreement to trade you. Okay, so then what if that goes through? How does Flower feel now? We can discuss later. It just, like I said, you say that, we have a verbal agreement, and then they back out. How is that player supposed to feel? I wouldn't do it. So, right here, you know, obviously he's going to be hurt, dude. You know, like that's all this is saying. And of course, any player who gets traded away from somewhere that they want to be or their team, I don't know one player unless they put in a trade request that is going to be happy about that, you know? So yeah, the one thing that does get me that I do totally understand with Fleury though is the owner himself, Bill Foley, even said he wanted him to retire here. He's, you know, that I do completely understand. There's no going around that one. There really isn't. You can't tell a player, I want you to retire here, and then, oh, guess what? We're not. So that one, no, 100%. I get where they're coming from. And this is what is going to make Vegas' season so interesting. Every single news out, whatever, website, they all have Vegas finishing first. You know, there's a lot of pressure on this team. You don't trade the Vezina winner for literally nothing. Like, yes, did it need to be done? I think absolutely. But this coupled with, you know, the way he found out, and now, I mean, Vegas has always had pressure since they made the moves they have since that inaugural year. Now the pressure, and, you know, I think the McManagers, if Vegas doesn't win the cup, I think they're out. I don't care if I think if they make the cup final, they would keep their jobs. I think anything less of getting to the cup final, and they're gone. So right here, January 8th is when Flower comes back to his return to Vegas. I don't live in Las Vegas anymore, but I bought tickets. The girlfriend and I, my mom is still in Las Vegas. We're going to, it's actually kind of cool the way it worked out. So January 8th is my birthday. That is the day Flower comes back to Vegas. 2 days before that, the Rangers come to town, and that is the day that Revo comes back. So I'm really happy. I really do want to see the tribute videos that they do for those two players. I went to Mark Stone's return in Ottawa. I thought that was really cool. They gave him quite a nice tribute. They did excellent with that. That was really cool to see live. My first trip to Canada, so that was fun. So I'm hoping that Vegas does this one right, and I'm pretty sure they will. So that one's kind of big to me. But Frank over here, the day Fleury returns to the Fortress wearing red. We did reverse retros last year, and just, here's the original article link. I will also have this posted in the video. That's all for this part. Quite a lot to take in, I know. So allegedly, Flower found out about the trade through Twitter. His agent, who needs to be brought up here, likes to stir the pot. Fuck you, Alan Walsh. This dude, he doesn't seem like a good person to me. All he does, I understand sticking up for your clients and you wanting the best for them, but we all know that infamous tweet last year in the bubble of the sword through Fleury's back with the boar written on it. First, talking about that, how immature. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand you want Flower to play, but Leonard was good. I don't have an issue. Goaltending was not what cost Vegas last year, right? Leonard was the better goaltender last year. You can completely understand why Pete DeBoer went with him. And for Fleury to react and I don't want to hear shit, dude. Fleury 100% knew about that tweet. There's no way in hell he did not know about it, and he did not okay it from his agent. I will never buy that for a second. So, I think what kind of played into all of this is definitely the front office not forgetting about that. I, as a Knights fan, will not forget about that. That was the most childish and immature thing I've seen from a hockey player in a long time. Even more so than Marchessault getting into it with a fan. I think it was over Instagram, and suck your mama's titties. That was hilarious. Very immature. But this is on a whole nother level of this is during a playoff run. And you want to tweet something like that, that's all that's going to do is cause locker room issues. That's just bad press for Vegas. And I don't think Vegas forgot about that when it came to this. So Kelly McCrimmon said in his interview on Wednesday night, or it was Tuesday night, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday night. I know Fleury got traded on Tuesday. Free agent frenzy was obviously the next day. But he said in that Flower, in their exit interviews, knew that trading a goalie was going to happen, a high possibility. He said that he had a few conversations with Marc-Andre Fleury over this offseason about Chicago's interest. So it's not like this came out of the blue, and I'm kind of sick of that narrative. That's not true. Vegas just doesn't trade somebody, not give them any kind of forewarning or anything like this. Yes, what they're doing is they could be a little bit more, for sure. There's no denying that they could be a little bit more personable when it comes to this kind of stuff. But when you want to win, you need to try to cut all emotional ties you have to your players. I mean, look at what Chicago's gone through, the contracts that they had to hand out just because of winning, and you see what that kind of did, the Brent Seabrook thing, Duncan Keith's contract, how much was that holding them back? You know what I mean? It's things along those lines, right? And to Vegas's credit, they've done a very good job when it comes to just making hockey decisions, right? Just trying to win. It's very respectable, but it is, they're getting a reputation as being a little too cutthroat, which I agree with. Kelly McCrimmon said that he does not inform the player until the trade call is completed with the NHL. Now, in today's day and age, with Twitter and everything, you kind of need to be a little bit more aware that these things are going to get out. But this isn't something that a Golden Knights employee leaked or something like that. You saw just look at the expansion draft. Frank Saravelli, how many tweets and how many of the picks did he already know 10 hours in advance before the big expansion draft? You know what I mean? In today's day and age, everybody gets everything lightning fast. And I can understand Vegas. What Kelly said was, in case something happens or the trade falls through, we do not let players know until it is done. Which I respect that. I understand that. And for Alan Walsh to tweet what he did and acting like Vegas completely this is way out of left field, that's not true. I don't know how many of you guys listen to podcasts or hockey podcasts, but if you do, listen to Steve Dangles. It's a very good one. I enjoy listening to it, even though they're mostly, you know, talk about the Leafs. They do talk about everything kind of going on in the hockey world, and it's a very entertaining podcast. So if you haven't, definitely listen to it, or at least give it a chance. But on the most recent episode, they had Chris Johnston, you know, for the entire episode. And I respect Chris Johnston very, very much. I think he seems like he's very knowledgeable. He's obviously got good insider information. And they asked him about it, and his whole thing was, no, this is not just Vegas as being like, no, this is a two-way street, not just this is all Vegas being the bad guys here. You know what I mean? He brought up how the front office did not forget about that tweet, you know, and the relationship had kind of soured since then. You know what I mean? And Flower definitely knew about Chicago's interest. He knew about the possibility of be trading. His whole answer the entire time was just, no, I don't want to play anywhere else. So you can understand why he's upset. Of course, his agent only cares about Flower, so he's going to throw more fuel into the fire, if you will. It's definitely a two-way street. Can Vegas in the front office be a little bit more personable when it comes to trading people? Absolutely. But did Flower know about this and know it was coming? 200%. You have to be an idiot to not know kind of the situation that Vegas is in. So, but it does bring me to the point of how cutthroat Vegas has been. And I'm going to link a couple articles, just kind of what I'm talking about. So, with Eric Haula, I guess he found out he was traded because his access card didn't work. Oscar Lindberg found out he was traded. Wild Bill came on the ice and had to tell him that way. You know, it's not... It's just once you start to hear these kind of things, it's like, okay, this isn't just a one-time thing. This is a trend. Like the front office just trading people and just kind of cutting ties immediately. And it's a bad look. There's no way around it. It's going to stir people away sometimes. They're not going to want to come here. I mean, they did reel in Alex Pietrangelo last year. And look at the money Dougie Hamilton got. That contract's not looking that bad right now. I know that's neither here nor there, but, you know, they did land the big fish last year. So people saying that this is going to hurt their chances of, you know, bringing people in and stuff, I don't necessarily buy that. I mean, you have the no state tax in Vegas, but you can't deny they are getting this kind of a reputation. And I know there's plenty of other things when it comes to, like, players being traded. You know, I think Haula also found out, like, on one player, like, found out on their wedding day or something, which I get. I mean, it does sound kind of nitpicky, and how can it not, you know? But I feel that the front office does need to have a better way that they handle these kind of things. I mean, this isn't NHL 21 franchise mode where I can trade everybody, you know what I mean? You are dealing with humans. You're dealing with guys who have families and kids, and, you know, they are rooted in Las Vegas. So it sucks, man. Like I have a huge problem with having this reputation. Like I love this team. You know, I give them a lot of my money. And I don't like what they're doing. I don't like this reputation that they're getting. It's not a good look. And I understand wanting to win and being cutthroat and not being too emotional and attached to certain players. I get that and I respect that, but I'm upset about this. I don't like Flower, who is the face of the franchise, what he's meant to this team for 4 years. Even if, you know, and I do agree it's a two-way street, but I don't like this. This is somebody who, whether that tweet happened or not with the sword in the back, I think they needed to be the bigger person. And I definitely think that, you know, this relationship was soured quite a bit ago. You know what I mean? Once that happened. And it's just unfortunate. You never want to see a relationship end like this, you know? And so it just sucks. It really does. And I really hope Vegas does something to kind of change this narrative about how they handle business. Yeah, again, thank you so much, Marc-Andre. You've meant the world to me as a Knights fan. I know how much you mean to Pittsburgh Penguins fans. All the best of luck in Chicago, and you know, I couldn't be happier for him. You know, this is a new opportunity. Chicago looks like they're going all in. Gonna be a hell of a division, and so I'm excited to see him play, no matter what jersey he's in. You know, so yeah, it sucks the way it all went down, but I just wanted to make a video thanking you, Flower, and kind of just talking about Vegas, man, and you know, they need to change its reputation. They seriously do. It's not a good look. It makes I know fans are upset about it. Yeah, it just sucks. I hate to see, you know, them get labeled this way. But on to the trade itself, you know, giving Marc-Andre Fleury away for $7 million. In today's day and age, $7 million is a whole heck of a lot in cap space. And I'm going to get into kind of the moves that they did. So to say they gave away Flower for nothing, that's just simply not true. Especially on a contending team, $7 million in cap space is gold. You know, that's worth a first-round pick at least. You know what I mean? We'll get into kind of, you know, look at what Arizona's had to do to kind of take on picks and stuff, and the salary they've brought in. It's cap space is expensive. I mean, you see what Seattle's done. That's all they care about, is having that cap space. So, yeah, I'm gonna end that with this. Thank you again, Flower, for everything. I could not be happier to, you know, have had you on board, to be the first face of the franchise. I would not have had it. I don't wish it was anybody else. You know, you've meant so much to this team, to this city. You know, however this ended, I don't care. You are much appreciated no matter what. So, again, thank you, Flower. Thank you. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll end that with this. Thank you so much, Flower. Marc-Andre, you've meant so much to this team, to this franchise, to the city. Words cannot explain just what you've done for this team, for fans. Could not be prouder. I wish you nothing but luck in Chicago. Best of luck, Marc-Andre, and see you soon.